Representative Ilhan Omar is a lawmaker who was elected by a large margin in Minnesota. However, Republican lawmakers in the state of Alabama are attempting to essentially expel her from her position. So the resolution, which urges the state's elected congressional delegation to launch the expulsion process for Omar, was passed over the weekend during a summer meeting in Auburn, Alabama. So this is actually something that can be done, although it is very unlikely that this will be done because there needs to be a vote in the House of Representatives and 2/3 of Congress needs to vote in favor of expelling Ilhan Omar. But nonetheless, here is what we're seeing from GOP lawmakers in the state of Alabama. There is precedence for Article 1, Section 5 of the Constitution being invoked to expel members of Congress based on disloyalty to the United States. That is a comment from State Representative Tommy Haynes. He's the person who has initiated this and is pushing the process. He also says Representative Omar is ungrateful to the United States and the opportunities that have been afforded to her. Her rhetoric is despicable and unpatriotic. So he thinks that her comments about Israel, and remember there was a video that went viral where she talks about loyalty, right? He thinks that she is saying that she's not loyal to the United States. That's the way that they're trying to twist it.
No, there's a great irony here. So you're gonna see what she actually said in a second, but they're saying since she's not loyal to Israel, she's not loyal to America.
Yeah.
You're the one then claiming dual loyalty, that we should have dual loyalty, which is what you're pretending to be offended by. But hey, Republicans, what's the use of logic, right?
Yeah, and they're of course accusing her of being anti-Semitic. We're gonna come back to that in just a second. But first, I just wanna reiterate what she said, what she actually said is very different from the way Republicans are trying to twist it. So let's take a look.
What I am fearful of is that because Rashida and I are Muslim, that a lot of our Jewish colleagues, a lot of our constituents, a lot of our allies go to thinking that everything we say about Israel to be an anti-Semitic because we are Muslim. And so to me, it's something that becomes designed to end the debate. That ends the discussion because we end up defending that and nobody ever gets to have the broader debate of what is happening with Palestine. I want to talk about the political influence in this country that says it is okay for people to push for allegiance to a foreign country. I want to ask, why is it okay for me to talk about the influence of the NRA, of fossil fuel industries or big pharma, and not talk about a powerful lobbying group that is influencing policy?
That is what she said. That is the full context of what she said. And she specifically mentioned that she does not want to pledge allegiance to a foreign country.
The whole point of the speech was, I don't want there to be dual allegiance. The Republicans flip it on its head and go, see, she's accusing people of having dual allegiance. No, she said the exact opposite. She doesn't want anybody to have dual allegiance, and she doesn't have dual allegiance. All right, anyway, so let's go back to the monsters in Alabama because first of all, she busted them up good, and then we're gonna add on top of it, and then we're gonna show you who the real anti-Semite is.
Exactly, so Ilhan Omar responded to this, and here's what she had to say, and I love the fact that she fights no matter what. She is not intimidated ever. She says, sorry, Alabama GOP, but this is a representative democracy. I was elected with 78% of the vote by the people of Minnesota's 5th district, not the Alabama Republican Party. If you want to clean up politics, maybe don't nominate an accused child molester as your Senate candidate.
Boom! Love it. Love it. That's called strength.
Delicious.
Pelosi, look into it, okay?
So good.
Are there only 4 people or whatever?
I mean, this is a woman who's dealing with constant threats to her life because of Donald Trump targeting her, because of Democratic leadership abandoning her and refusing to defend her. I mean, and she's still fighting. She's incredible.
So notice the irony, not the irony, but Alabama Republicans, like the bad days, going back and going, we've decided that the people of Minnesota shouldn't get to choose. We should get to choose our representatives. So we're just going to nullify what they've done, and she should be expelled because the white racist Republicans in Alabama don't like this black representative. So we should get rid of her. Oh, you don't like her, do you? Okay, we'll take it under goddamn advisement. Okay, in other words, we won't. We don't give a damn what you think. And in fact, we're about to bust you up pretty good right here.
Exactly. So Ilhan Omar, for anyone who might have missed it, did draw attention to the fact that Republican lawmakers in Alabama supported Roy Moore, who was accused by at least 6 women of molestation, sexual assault. Some of the women were underage at the time that he allegedly did these things. And so they supported him, they backed him, and luckily he didn't win. However, there's other problematic issues at hand when it comes to Alabama. In fact, the representative from Alabama's 5th district, is a gentleman by the name of Mo Brooks. And recently, he quoted Hitler to go after Democrats. If you don't believe me, here he is.
Quote, in the big lie, there is always a certain force of credibility because the broad masses of a nation are always more easily corrupted in the deeper strata of their emotional nature than consciously or voluntarily. And thus, in the primitive simplicity of their minds, they more readily fall victims to the big lie than the small lie, since they themselves often tell small lies in little matters, but would be ashamed to resort to large-scale falsehoods. Who is this big lie master? That quote was in 1925 by a member of Germany's National Socialist German Workers' Party. That's right, Germany's Socialist Party, more commonly known as the Nazis. The author was socialist Adolf Hitler in his book, Mein Kampf.
So he quoted Adolf Hitler in an attempt to attack Democrats. So in his context, Democrats would be the Jewish individuals that Adolf Hitler was attacking.
Unbelievable. And you know how much coverage it got? A new analysis out. Ilhan Omar's comments, twisted completely, not out of context, the exact opposite of what she said, got about 470 mentions on cable news. You know how many Mo Brooks got? 0. The actual anti-Semite positively quoting Hitler on the congressional floor gets no mentions at all on cable news. But the idiot Democratic leadership helps to bash Ilhan Omar. So everybody goes, well, I guess she must be wrong. And Mo Brooks positively quoting Hitler is right. So if any member of the Alabama delegation dares to actually introduce this in the United States Congress, if the Democrats had any knowledge of how to use power, what they would do is go, oh, that's an interesting point. But I don't know if you know this, we're in charge of the House, you're not. We're now moving to expel every member of the Alabama Republican delegation, but certainly starting with Mo Brooks. Mo Brooks is an anti-Semite who quoted Adolf Hitler on the floor of the House, and we move to expel him immediately. And now you need 2/3 of the House. The Democrats easily control the House, but they don't have 2/3. That's okay. Republicans, I'd like to see you go on the record and defend the guy quoting Hitler positively. Go ahead, no problem. I mean, by the way, I know you're going to. You all supported the child molester, so accused child molester. I read the stories. You know what he did, what Roy Moore did, one of the instances? He got a young girl that was a waitress for him, and when he was in his 30s and she's a teen, and he said, I'll give you a ride home. And she gets in the car and he starts ripping her clothes off and attacks her and tries to rape her. And they're like, that's a good American family values guy. Us Alabama Republicans are so moral, quoting Hitler and in favor of child molesters, expel all their asses. Give it a shot. Look, Democrats, I know that your leadership is pathetically weak, but I don't know if you know this, you're in charge of the House. You don't have to worry about what Republicans are gonna do. They should be worried about what you're going to do. Can they ever exercise power on our behalf? Of course not Nancy Pelosi, who's still hiding in a corner somewhere.
And of course, how can we forget, they have no problem with the anti-Semitic remarks coming from Donald Trump. And our very own J.R. Jackson put together a mashup just to remind everyone of who the Alabama delegation is in full support of. Take a look.
I stood with Prime Minister Netanyahu, I stood with your prime minister at the White House to recognize Israeli sovereignty.
I think any Jewish people that vote for a Democrat, I think it shows either a total lack of knowledge or great disloyalty.
For those who control the levers of power in Washington and for the global special interest, they partner with these people. I'm a negotiator like you folks. We're negotiators. Do you want to renegotiate deals? Some of us renegotiate deals. I would say about 99.9. Is there anybody that doesn't renegotiate deals in this room? This room negotiates. I want to renegotiate this room. Perhaps more than any room I've ever spoken to. Maybe more. It's okay. I've been called on that a couple of times too.
In my opinion, you vote for a Democrat, you're being very disloyal to Jewish people and you're being very disloyal to Israel.
Where's the Alabama delegation? Where are those conservative lawmakers who are so upset with Representative Ilhan Omar, but have nothing to say about Mo Brooks and have nothing to say about Donald Trump?
Trump just said there on a number of occasions that Jewish people are disloyal to Israel. They're Jewish Americans. They're Americans. And yes, 75 to 80% of Jewish Americans consistently vote for Democrats, not Republicans, because they're Americans. But he accuses them of having dual loyalty, which I hear from the Alabama Republicans is good enough to expel someone from their job. So I'm sure that they are going to join in impeachment proceedings imminently. Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.